This is video number 9, and we're going to talk about content delivery networks. So we briefly talked about this earlier, but in most cases, when you run a website, you want to have a CDN or a content delivery network, especially if you're trying to reach the world. Now, as we mentioned earlier, if your web hosting server, let's say, for example, is in the United States of America and your prospect is, let's say, in the United Kingdom or Canada or wherever, some way far away, then what happens here is that they have to connect all the way from their computer in the UK all the way to the server in the USA. So if you are in the US of A, or you're in wherever you are and the server happens to be next to you, then it's going to load super fast, right? But just because it loads fast for you, if you're in the United States, does not mean that it's going to load super fast for everybody else. So it's kind of like saying, okay, I'm going to go to the store and it's only going to take me 5 minutes. But then you have a friend that is an hour away and it's going to take them literally an hour away, not speaking of traffic and other possible roadblocks that he's going to face. So that's why you need a content delivery network. And in this case, in that example, let's say, for example, it takes you 5 minutes to get to the store. And that store says, you know what, we're going to replicate ourselves and we're going to put a store near your friend so that instead of going 1 hour away, he goes about 5 minutes away. So that's the way a content delivery network works. They are so massive of a data center that they have many different servers placed all over the world, oftentimes in each city, in each country, in each state, literally so that anybody around the world can access your site at a much faster rate. So oftentimes what we see is the content delivery network will make a big difference. So if you change your web hosting to a specialized WordPress hosting and you add a content delivery network and you do the elements that we talked about to make sure that your site is not too big, those few things there can actually speed up your whole site. So like I said, how CDNs work is they deliver the content, in this case, to that person, to the closest server to them. So as we mentioned in this example, if you're using a CDN, it's going to show your website to that person, to the closest server. So it really makes life a lot better for your visitors, no matter where they are. So now there are many other benefits to using a CDN besides just being close. In addition to that is security. And you can actually block out high-risk areas and high-risk IP addresses as well. Because the CDN is so big and massive, a lot of times it'll share data, and if it finds that there's a hacker hacking another site, they'll share that data and make sure that they block that person when they try to access your site. So there are a lot of other amazing benefits to having a CDN. Now, there are several CDNs that you can use. You, of course, only need to have one. So let's discuss that right now. So there are two main content delivery networks that we highly recommend. There are many other ones, but you really have to think about it. You want to make sure that the company that you go with is big enough so they have so many different servers around the world that you can use. So these two are actually very user-friendly, and that is why we are actually recommending them. Cloudflare.com, that's cloudflare.com. This one we've used before, and in order to really make use of it, they have a free version, but in order to get the advantages and the benefits, you really have to use the $20 per month upgrade. And this is on a per domain basis. Now, at the end of the day, and that might seem a lot to many of you, but really, it'll save you a lot of bandwidth. In fact, it'll protect you. It'll give you security that you need. Plus, on top of that, if you have a global wide network, you're trying to reach as many people around the world as much as possible, it really is going to help you in the long run. The only case that you would never really need to have a CDN is if you're only a local business and you're simply trying to cater to people within a very small segment of a city and they're all next to the server. So that's the only time that you would not really use a CDN. Cloudflare we've used and it's worked very, very well. And we highly recommend that. You don't really need the business version or the enterprise unless you're getting a ton of traffic. But obviously you can start with free and just see how that goes. And then as time goes, upgrade to pro if you can. So if you're just starting out, obviously go with the free. And if you already have a couple hundred to a couple thousand visitors per month, definitely go with the pro version as much as possible. So the next thing we have is MaxCDN. That is maxcdn.com. And as you can see, the pricing is actually a little bit cheaper than Cloudflare. Now, MaxCDN is really good as well. And it's really hard to say whether MaxCDN is better than Cloudflare or Cloudflare is better than MaxCDN. Because at the end of the day, it really depends on really your preference. So you could start with MaxCDN because it's only $9 a month and they offer a good amount of benefits as well. Now you'll see that they limit you up to 1 terabyte. So what that means is really unless you're using 1 terabyte, which is 1000 gigabytes worth of bandwidth, you don't really need to move up. So that's the nice thing about MaxCDN is the pricing definitely wins a little bit better than Cloudflare. But as far as setup goes for both of these are actually very easy to set up. They've made it very, very user-friendly, and that's one of the main reasons why we recommend them on top of their huge network and being able to reach as many visitors as you can.